The story that you are about to hear is a compilation of documented true facts, featuring characters, events, or places that has played a role in shaping history. Please sit back and listen as I recite this narrative for you. The Dybbuk box is a wine cabinet said to be haunted by a Dybbuk. In Jewish folklore, a Dybbuk is a restless, usually malicious spirit believed to be able to haunt and even possess the living. The box gained notoriety when its owner, Kevin Manis, auctioned it off on eBay, creating a story about Jewish Holocaust survivors and paranormal claims as part of his eBay item description. Kevin Manis was out visiting yard sales in 2001 looking for supplies for his furniture restoration business, a shack at the base of the Burnside Bridge in Portland, Oregon. According to legend, he bought an old wine cabinet from the granddaughter of a recently deceased Holocaust survivor named Havela, who escaped Nazi-occupied Poland. She and other survivors fled to Spain and remained there until the war's end. When Havela, who lived to be 103 years old, immigrated to the United States, the wine cabinet was one of the 3 items she brought with her. Havela purposely sealed a Dybbuk inside the box after it contacted her and her friends while performing a seance with a homemade oracle board. The seller allegedly told Manis that it should never be opened and that if it was, bad things would happen. He ignored her warning. Manis, who was in his mid-30s at that time, returned the box to his shop with the intention of restoring it and gifting it to his mother for her birthday. When he opened the cabinet, he discovered 2 U.S. wheat pennies from 1925 and 1928, 2 locks of hair, a dried rosebud, a 4-legged candlestick, a golden wine cup, and a granite sculpture inscribed with the Hebrew word shalom, all items supposedly used in Jewish folklore to exorcise demons. On the back of the cabinet was carved the Shema, a prayer considered to be one of the most important in Judaism. On Halloween, Manis gave the box to his mother, Ida. Ida described feeling a cold breeze from the box as she opened its doors in a 2012 interview on the TV show Paranormal Witness, then experiencing pure evil coming out. She claims she had a stroke right away. A number of other mysterious events befell Manis and those around him over the course of 2 years. His sister was disturbed by the cabinet because the doors kept opening on their own. His brother and sister-in-law complained about strange odors emanating from the box, such as cat urine and jasmine. Manis and his siblings had recurring nightmares about an old woman with sunken eyes. Worryingly, he claims that the brother of a store employee committed suicide shortly after visiting the shop and knocking the cabinet off the shelf. A few years later, the employee committed suicide as well. Manis attempted to give the box to his then-girlfriend at one point, but after keeping it for a while, she forced him to return it. She forced him to take it back. Then he started seeing shadow things in his peripheral vision. Manis, who has a background in writing, advertising, and entertainment, listed it on eBay in 2003 and wrote a very long detailed product description in which he refers to the item as a Dybbuk box. Manis's eBay listing describes how he obtained it, the strange events that occurred to him and his family as a result, and why he wants to get rid of it. "Help me," he writes near the end of the description. The Dybbuk box has since captured the popular imagination, becoming the stuff of internet legend and commerce. Jason Hackton's involvement in the story began when he learned about the allegedly haunted box from a young man working at the museum of a Kirksville, Missouri medical school where Haxton is the director. The young man told Haxton that his roommate had a haunted Jewish wine cabinet, which he decided to sell on eBay after suffering from an insect infestation, hair loss, and strange odors. According to the eBay listing, titled Dybbuk Haunted Jewish Wine Cabinet Box, the box was purchased at the state sale of a Holocaust survivor who lived in Oregon by the owner of a furniture refinishing business. Haxton won the eBay auction with a winning bid of $280, intending to give the box to a friend, an illusionist who wanted to use it for his act. But it was refused by that friend. Haxton was skeptical of the box stories he'd heard until he claimed similar events happened to him. He claimed that after receiving the package in the mail, his eyes became bloodshot, he broke out in welts and hives, and he began choking at random. Haxton eventually began to wonder if he had been the victim of a Dybbuk. The day it arrived, I put my hands on it and it almost feels like the thing collapses into a liquid state, said Haxton. I feel like a knife is coming into my gut. I'm paralyzed in pain. When I go to bed, I have terrible dreams of a hag that seems to come with a box. I didn't think it was possible. I was too science-based, he said. All I knew is I got this thing and I got very ill. I don't know what happened. I still don't know. He claimed to have tested the box for heavy metals like mercury and even biohazards, but the results were negative. He interviewed previous box owners and researched debugs. Haxton also spoke with rabbis and scientists who both advised him to place the box in a wooden container lined with gold to neutralize its destructive force, whether it was an evil spirit or an electromagnetic field. Haxton did, he claimed, and his medical problems vanished. Meanwhile, the Dybbuk box had become an internet legend and Haxton was inundated with inquiries. Hollywood soon came calling. In the fall of 2004, Haxton sold the rights to his story to Lionsgate and the film was produced and released in US on August 31 by Sam Raimi. The box and the alleged events surrounding it served as the inspiration for The Possession, a horror film about a young girl cursed by an evil spirit that haunts an old box. The film dominated the box office for 2 weekends in a row. It's supposed to be based on a true story. In The Possession, a family must overcome an evil spirit that inhabits a young girl's body after she purchased an antique wooden box at a yard sale. Haxton himself does not appear as a character. Haxton, who is credited as a production consultant on the film, describes it as a conglomerate of all the stories about the box. The Dybbuk box, Haxton's accounts of his experiences, was published as a non-fiction book by a university press. In his book, he describes what happened to him in the first few months after purchasing the box, from bleeding eyes to random choking attacks, and the recurring dreams of a creepy old woman. He stated that the majority of the profits go to the university press. Darcy Haxton Jackson, Haxton's younger sister, who lives in the Universal City, described the box's story as a very interesting and very believable. Rhea Haxton, a retired art teacher who also lives in the Universal City, described her son as a creative and imaginative man who has always enjoyed conducting research. She's not sure what to make of the mysterious box. According to Rabbi Barry Block of San Antonio, the Dybbuk, a superstition that arose in the 16th century, is not part of the mainstream Jewish belief or a serious part of the Jewish dogma. When asked if a member of his congregation had ever asked him to perform a Dybbuk exorcism, Block replied, "Never, never, never." In 2016, Haxton sold the box to Zach Bagans, the host of the Travel Channel's Ghost Adventure show, for an undisclosed sum. It is now one of the highlights of Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, and it is billed as the world's most haunted object. In 2018, rapper Post Malone claimed that his contact with the cabinet was the source of a string of bad luck. When 2 of his private jet's tires blew out on the runway, he was involved in a plane emergency. A few days later, his old house was allegedly broken into by armed intruders. A week later, he was involved in a car accident when his Rolls-Royce collided with another vehicle. There have been many skeptics over the years. Whatever its origins, the Dybbuk box has been blamed for a string of misfortunes that have befallen those who have come into contact with it, even though it may not actually be haunted at all, and was just an elaborate ruse that a creative writer came up with to create a horror phenomenon.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to say that I am incredibly grateful that you took time out of your schedule to listen to my narration. This is Nikki of Twysted Mind, wishing you a great rest of your day. Salamat.